Well, hello there in YouTube land. It is Friday Eve. That is what my dear friend at work calls Thursday. Kind of like Christmas Eve is the night before Christmas. Friday Eve is the night before Friday. Most important to people who work Monday through Friday jobs. Most important to us. Because that means you're that much closer to about 48 hours of freedom or, quasi freedom. Anyway, whatever that means to you, you get to choose your own schedule. And hey, it's Mary. Thanks for coming by, Mary. It's good to see you. I'm getting to where, like, I feel like my day's not done if I don't at least do this for a little bit. Hey, Anthony J. All Day. I saw you're a new subscriber to my channel. I'm glad to see you. I just saw you comment on one of my shorts about dopamine. I'm happy to see you. How did you find me? I know that I've had a couple different ways of connecting with people and finding people through other channels. So, welcome aboard. Miss Dragon says, I am still chained to the sink because of finishing my dishes. After you went off the air, I went to bed. You didn't do your dishes last night, Mist. Oh, well, they'll still be there. That's the thing about dishes is they don't unfortunately, they don't get up and walk away while we're sleeping unless we're lucky enough to have some, like, I don't know, dish fairies sneak in while we're sleeping. I did stop in your live earlier today. I thought that was you. I thought that was you. Awesome. Okay, I was pretty sure. I'm glad to know you, and I'm glad to be subscribed to your channel, and I'm glad that you stopped by mine. That makes me happy. So, I don't really have a niche or anything. I like to sing karaoke a little bit on my channel. I like to do shorts about things I find interesting, usually books, but sometimes other stuff too. Sometimes like neurochemicals and psychology and mental health and stuff like that. And for the lives, I just kind of like to hang out and see what people want to do, want to talk about. I think the first live I read from a book for a little while before anyone showed up. I believe Mary Blessed to Crochet was my first attendee of a live I did. So, um, she knows the progression here. Yeah, we all wish we had the dish fairy. Oh, but you have the one that adds more when you sleep. That's not good. I'm sorry, Mist. I'm sorry. You did send him. Aw, I'm one of the good people, I hope. If so, thank you. I'll take it. I'll take it. Mary is just like a powerhouse of like helping me like figure out how to do this whole YouTube thing and how to like what to use to make thumbnails. She made like a lot, like most of the thumbnails I have, she made them. The cool ones she made. Um she's given me all kinds of ideas about how to like increase watch hours and like meet more people and eh, I just really appreciate you, Mary. And sometimes I have surprise guests on, like Mary, and then we have a hoot. We need to do that again soon. We need to do that again. You were one of those fairies for the laundry. Oh, you want one of those fairies for the laundry. Do the laundry at night while you're sleeping. So, hey, look who it is. It's Miss Sunrise Dawn. Welcome, Miss Sunrise Dawn. It's so good to see you. I'm so happy you're here. We all wish that we had like a dish fairy or a laundry fairy that came in during the night to help finish our laundry for us or finish our dishes for us. It would all be super cool. I like to hang out on here instead of do my laundry and my dishes sometimes, so they stack up a little. But I kind of feel like it's worth it. I get to hang out with you guys and chat and stuff. You just fold them on a live so you have an excuse to put it off. That's really smart, Mist. I did see one of yours titled "Let's Fold." I liked it. That's really smart. I have a like I tried to multitask once, like, okay, I'm gonna do something like while I'm on a live, like I was gonna clean out a bag, but all I did was like take the stuff out. I didn't really do a good job of actually doing anything with it. So, like, the stuff that was in it is still just kind of here. It's on the desk. Well, a couple things I threw away, so I guess it wasn't that bad. Oh, you're headed to bed, Anthony? Well, thank you for stopping by. I'm so glad I found your channel. I'm so glad Mary introduced me to your channel. Um, Thank you, and you have a great evening too. It's good to meet you also. I'm glad you are here. And we'll catch you on the next one. I liked the fishing. Like that made me happy. I haven't I haven't gone fishing in a million years, but well, not literally a million. I'm not a vampire. Uh, but I used to fish with my grandparents a lot because they had property out in the country, um, down in like South Central Texas. And there was a pond on their property that usually had fish in it. And so we would usually do a little bit of fishing whenever we went down to visit down there. And my granddad was really into fishing. He really enjoyed fishing. But he grew up doing it. Like he told me, he's the one who taught me what a trot line is. Does anybody know what a trot line is? I didn't. I didn't until he told me about it. Apparently, you can like string a line across a pond or across like a more narrow part of the water. And like at intervals, you put little hooks with bait on it. And instead of having to sit there with one pole with bait on it, you have like several all set up. And eventually the fish jump up and get them. And then you've like caught several fish at a time if it works correctly, if you don't have turtles that steal your bait. Miss knows what a trout line is. I don't know. I just felt like you would know. I felt like you would know that. A trout line. Okay. See, he had an accent, so I misheard him when he told me about it. It sounded like trot. You'd prefer to keep your fish alive as long as you can. Yeah, you probably don't want them like hanging there for very long. Moni or Miss Sunrise Dawn, I'm happy to be here. I desperately needed a calm stream where I'm not modding. Good. Well, I'm glad you found us. I'm glad I turned this on record today. The trolls have been working overtime today on SPTV. Oh man. I cannot imagine trying to mod for an SPTV channel. I feel like you're probably rife with trolls and I mean, I don't know how like big the OSA thing really is, but if it is, then you probably have a good fair number of those and whenever there's any kind of like whiff of drama, you probably get more. So, I mean, more like my hat's off to you. That sounds like a tough modding gig to me. Evening, Moni69. It's so good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. I am so glad you're here. Oh, so the line, that's different than what you were thinking. Once we caught it, we put it on a line. They're still alive and we put them back into the water. Oh, okay. That way they're fresher longer, right? Sorry to gross out anybody who doesn't like to eat fish or eat meat, but um, we like to eat fish around here. we have no, I don't know. I don't feel, there are some things I feel, maybe morally upset about, but eating fish is not one of them because they're so tasty. I got my tea. It's a good night. Yeah, it's nice to see you too, Moni. I'm so glad that you're here. I like it when, I'm always a little bit just like jazzed and surprised when people show up at all. Like every time I hit go live, I'm like, this is going to be the night when it's just me and I'm just going to like read on stream and like babble about something because there's no one here to interact with. But lately, at least a couple people always show up. Y'all are fun. Y'all are great. I appreciate it. Oh, the song Country Boy Can Survive. I know that one. Country Boy Can Survive. Yeah, yeah. I know that one. I hadn't thought about that song in years. That brings me back. We can skin a butt. We can run a trout line. Yep, yep, yep. Well, my granddad was a country boy. He really, really was. He grew up like out in the country on a farm in Texas, like South Central, like near their property that they had when I used to go out there as a kid was like right outside of College Station, Bryan area, around there, around A&M. They were all Aggies. If you know anything about Texas college culture, That's a big deal. Some people would tell you the Aggies are kinda culty. Maybe a little, maybe a little. Um, they have lots of traditions. If you do some they say if you do something twice at A&M, now it's a tradition. You have to do it every year. That's the running joke. Miss says, "I worked with a guy 30 plus years ago, and we were talking about fishing, and I made the comment that I'll eat anything that swims." And he goes, "I swim." And I said, "I don't eat minnow." Miss, did you really say that? That is quick on the draw. Wow. I'm like, I that's awesome. You should teach me your ways. That's amazing. I love it. I love it. Oh, and everybody's saying hi. I love this. This makes me happy. Yeah, so a lot of things. Yeah, he was a country boy, and then he went to A&M, and my grandmother went to A&M, and like that's how my parents went. Like I have actually let me think first. Is this gonna dox me? No, it's not. It's not because everybody I'm talking about is long dead. And um, I mean, I don't know if you worked hard enough, but whatever. Um, my I can't remember if it was my great grandfather or two greats. My great great grandfather started the Texas A&M Aggie band. And his name was Joseph Hollick, and there were like 5 people in it, I think, at first. Of course, now it's this huge thing with, like, marching and the corps and all that, but back then, it was kind of just like a collection of people. Yeah, a small band of people. I'm sorry, you guys, you probably heard me slurp my tea. I'm not great at the ladylike sipping. It's 12:15 lunchtime here. Oh, okay, you must be on the other side of the world then. Awesome. You did come up with that right away, and the look on his face was priceless. That's awesome. Oh, can I please ask and call you either Mon or Monica going forward? Life will be easier on me. Okay, yeah, sure. Thanks for letting me know. Mon or Monica? Monica. Awesome. I hope I didn't make life unnecessarily difficult. That is never my intention for anyone. Uh, unless for some reason somebody asked me to make their life unnecessarily difficult, but I've had that request from anybody ever. So, oh gosh, my sound is turned on. Hold on one second. I don't know if y'all could hear that little ding. It's my I thought I had it on mute so that if I got messages it didn't go bing bing, but now I do. Oh, a friend of mine is traveling and has been giving me updates about layovers and planes and things like that. I won't share the messages. I mean, there's nothing exciting about them. It's just like, "Yep, on another plane now." Um, but I haven't asked it. I'm gonna let them know. I'm gonna let him know I'm live though. I'm live right now on the tubes of you. Excuse me. I'm sorry, you guys. That way, he knows if I stop responding, it's not personal. I just have people I'm already hanging out with. Monica says Western Australia, so 2 hours behind the eastern states. Yeah, of course. Anytime. You're welcome anytime. Um, and I am going to make a mental note to myself. I am always making note. Actually, it's not just mental. I'm going to write it down. And I don't need to keep the paper that I write things down on, but like just the act of writing something down, it makes it stick in my brain. And I don't know why. It just does. Like, I don't have to keep the notes. I don't ever have to refer to it again. I can shred it, I can throw it away, but writing it down makes it so I remember it. I don't know. Is anybody else like that? Like you take notes not to refer back to later, but because just writing helps you remember? Oh, the school I mentioned the other day, this was Bowie High School in Arlington, Texas, which is about 40 miles south of me. It turned out so they did update the news story yesterday, but I haven't looked today. It was let's see what the updates are. I need a more recent looks like everything is well, they closed school today, that's probably good. That's probably okay, I have one from 4 hours ago on CBS News. Oh, they released a picture, oh, no. I don't know why that upsets me more for some reason. I guess because visuals make things a little bit more, you know. Bowie High School victim and suspect identified, gun not yet recovered. Okay, police identified the suspect and victim in Wednesday's shooting at James Bowie High School in Arlington, but said they had not yet recovered the gun used in the shooting. Classes were canceled Thursday in the wake of the shooting. Police arrested 17-year-old Julian Howard and charged him with one count of murder in the death of 18-year-old Atavian Barnes. Howard was booked into Arlington City Jail on one count of murder and charged with the possession of a controlled substance for having what police believed to be a THC cartridge. Like, that's the important part. I don't know, like priorities, but I guess it's part of the news, so they're reporting it. Oh gosh. The Arlington police chief said that the victim was shot 5 or 6 times. That's terrible. They tried to perform life-saving measures. He was taken to the hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. And the suspect tried to flee the campus. They believe the two students knew each other. So, I mean, it sounds like it wasn't like a mass thing. It wasn't like somebody walked in and started, like, firing indiscriminately. So that's something. Um, but it's still terrible. Like, who there's still something ugh, there's still something just awful about the idea you're going to high school and, like, it just I can't wrap my brain around it. And the weird thing about it is, my husband is a high school teacher, right? And every time a news story like this comes out, like, I'm always like, "Are you okay? Like, what's happening?" And he'll be like, "What do you mean? What's wrong?" And I'll mention the news story, and he'll be like, "Oh, yeah, there's a lot of those." Like he's blasé about it almost. Not that he doesn't care, but it's like he's just like, he's used to it, and, like, the other teachers we know are like that too. Like, I mean, they have to go through active shooter training every year where they actually have, like, police come in and, like, do a whole seminar and then have them, like, act out as if it were happening, and, like so he has this whole scenario in his head of, like, how he would barricade his classroom door and what he would do if somebody broke through that barricade, and, like, I mean, he's a theater tech teacher, so he has access to power tools and things like this, so probably he's in a slightly better position than most, but, and their classroom is more of, like, a big black box theater, so it's kind of, like, at the end of the hallway, but um, it's still crazy to me that we have to think like that when kids go to school or when teachers go to work. That's just I can't get used to it. I can't get blasé about it. Yeah, it is horrible. Miss says, "I'm really picky. I'm with a feed the daycare kids. I tried" Oh, we talked about food. Oh, I don't know where I missed something. Oh, about how we learn. I gotcha. I gotcha. Red dye adds to hyperactivity. Yellow dye adds to mood swings. I didn't know this. I did not know that. Oh my gosh. Monica, that's awful. We had a 16-year-old attack a minister in their church. Yesterday, 6, I think, under 18-year-olds were upset about the minister saying something about Islam. They think they are under Hamas. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. People are just I don't understand. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Monica. I mean, so they have had, like sometimes stuff will happen where they lock down, like, where the high school will that he works at will lock down, and, like, I've gotten, like, a text from him before that's like, "We're on lockdown." I'm like, "O okay." Like, "Is everything okay?" And But for a while, like, sometimes it'll be nothing. Like, so far, it's always been nothing, right? Or it's always been, like, a false alarm kind of a thing, but, like, you never know, right? You never know. Hey, I am the noise opera. Nick is here. I'm so glad to see you. I haven't seen you in a minute. I've seen you here. I haven't seen you a minute like on other channels that I usually see you on, though. I'm so glad you stopped by. Thanks for hanging out with us. That makes me smile. You make me smile, Nick. I'm glad you're here. Oh, I accidentally unclicked. My youngest daughter starts kindergarten next year, and the thought of school shootings terrifies me. Yeah, yeah. I mean, sending your kid out into the world is always a leap of faith no matter what, right? No matter what. But like, that's a different kind of leap of faith, right? Like that's a different kind of crazy that exists in the world. And I don't know if I feel like it's more than it used to be. Like my mother was a teacher as well, and she taught middle school for 14 years. And she said they used to get threats called in all the time towards the end of the school year, but nothing ever happened. It was always just somebody like being stupid and trying to get school canceled early. It was never anything that like anybody acted on. I don't know that people, that started happening until a little bit more recently in our history. All arrested. Mon is okay. Okay. I'm going to remember that one too. I'm going to remember. See, if you tell me what to call you, I will do my best to abide by it. Mon. Mon. Like it. I love it. And we are happy to be here too. Yeah, guys, I didn't mean to like bum you guys out, but that is something that's, happening here in my neck of the woods. Let's see, what else does it say? A lot of platitudes from a superintendent. Thanks, police. Classes were canceled. Counselors will be available for students and staff at Bowie starting at Friday at 9 a.m. So, what always bothers me about this is like it turns just political, and then like people seem to forget about like the actual violence that happened and the actual like life that was lost, and they just get caught up in the let's fight and be political and have somebody be right and somebody be wrong, and it's not about solving anything. That really upsets me when that happens. You pulled the fire alarm in high school back in the 80s. You did? For some reason, that doesn't surprise me. Like, I feel like you were probably always a little bit subversive, and I love that about you. Am I off base there? Am I right? Am I right? I feel like you've always been a very good kind of subversive. Tell me if I'm wrong. Miss Sunrise Dawn says, "When my oldest was in school, I hated that they had to run, hide, survive drills." Yeah, yeah. It's weird and it's harrowing. And getting a text that the school's on lockdown was always terrifying, even though it was always false alarms. Like, it's very strange to me. It's very, very strange, and it's a little surreal. Like, I did an internship in a federal women's prison for a year, and every once in a while, they would go on lockdown. And for me, who worked in like this separate building that was the psychology building, that meant you have to stay in the room you're in and you can't go anywhere while everybody figures out what's going on. And you're just an intern volunteer. So maybe we'll tell you and maybe we won't. We'll see. We'll see how we feel. Just don't go anywhere. Um, so when I think of lockdowns, that's what I think of. And when I think of security for lockdowns, that's what I think of. So the idea of them being at public schools is a little odd, but the more and more I hear people talk about how, especially federal prisons, how they are structured and how they're like, even the style of the buildings, they're eerily similar. And that's obviously people go home at night from school. Like, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but certain things are eerily similar. And it is weird. It's very strange. Missed a few of my friends that pulled the fire alarm, yeah. You know, my little guy, who sounds like he's asleep, and that's wonderful. My little guy who's almost 5 is fascinated with the fire alarm at the speech therapy office. It happens to be within reach if he just gets up on a chair, and I don't think he knows what it will do. He just knows that it's bright red, which looks pretty to him, and it has a button. So I have to like, there's always a little like last 5 minutes where I'm talking to the occupational therapist about how things went and what they're working on. But I always have to keep like one eye on her and like one eye over here so that I can like put my body between him and the fire alarm without fail every time, every time. That 5 minutes in the waiting room, he is like all over the place because he's been following directions for a whole hour. And he's not feeling directions anymore, at least for that 5 minutes in the waiting room. We're correct, missed? Nice. I like it. I'm happy. I'm happy. Probably still a mischief, but in a good way. In a good way. We like mischief around here. At least I do. I like a little subversiveness. Who am I kidding? I like a lot of subversiveness, especially if you're clever about it. That's one of my favorite things ever. We need some subversiveness because things are kind of messed up out there. I don't want to be not subversive. I don't want to not subvert the messed up things. Like things that are messed up should be subverted. Just a theory. Just a theory. And this is so true too, Miss Sunrise Dawn. A little mischief does make life fun. It really does. Within reason, right? Within reason. We don't wanna we don't wanna hurt anybody. We just wanna have fun and make the world a better place. Hopefully on the way there. So what did I have? Oh, I can't remember. Last time somebody asked me what my tea was. It is caffeine free. It is caffeine free. It is Just Brains Creativity. I don't know if you can see that's glary, but it's very tasty. It's very tasty, but I'm almost running out. I don't know if I should buy more of this or buy new tea that tastes a little bit different. Mm, but it is tasty. It is good. What was I talking about before we talked about? I was talking about trot lines and being in the country. Trout lines. I'm gonna have to relearn that now because the way he said it, like I remember one of my last like lengthy conversations I had with my granddad before he passed away. We were out at that property in the country and like how old was I? I think I was an older teenager. I'll have to look back at years to see, but they had like a porch swing and he was just sitting on it and he was just kind of looking around and usually he was kind of a like not quiet but like very functional like speech like he didn't necessarily like monologue or talk a whole lot. He said something when something needed to happen. I mean, he was really friendly, but and for some reason that day he was just kind of like reminiscing about his childhood. And I remember just being like absolutely like fascinated with it. Like I never knew such a thing as a trout line existed. And I didn't I don't think it had ever sunk in with me before that he had grown up on a farm. And because I knew him as a little kid, right? So when you're a little kid, you kind of think the adults in your life have always been adults. And it was like this moment where, like, by that point as a teenager, I knew logically that he had been a child, but I never heard him talk about it. So it was like this kind of moment of, "Oh, you had a whole life before I existed, before my parents existed, before any of this was as it is." And I just thought that was so cool to hear about. And actually, like, a few years after he passed away, and it was just my grandmother, we were at that same place out in the country, and she kinda did the same thing. And she kinda talked about, like, he had been in the Air Force, and they had moved all over. They moved, like, every 2 years. They lived in Japan for a while. They lived in the Azores. They lived in Bermuda. Um, my dad was actually born on an Air Force base in Portugal. Um, so they moved all over the place. And she was talking to me about how she never knew her life was going to be so exciting and that she'd get to travel so much. And I remember her kinda like, I didn't get it at the time, I didn't understand it at the time, but I think she kind of knew, like, I have more behind me than I have ahead of me, and she was just sort of thinking back on it, but she was thinking back on it very positively, and that's probably the best any of us can hope for, right? Is when we look back, it's a positive thing and we feel good about it. This says, "I wore a pin in high school that said, 'Why be normal?'" I like it. I love it. I also have a t-shirt that I wear now, and then that says, "Fuck the facts." So far, only positive comments. You are subversive. You are subversive. I like it. No decaf for Mon. Can't do decaf. Very big lover of coffee. I love coffee too. Like, I'm doing decaf tea in the evening so that when I click the end stream button, I won't be up till 2 or 3 in the morning. But normally, like, I run on coffee. Um, that's what I commented on one of Miss Dragon's, shorts earlier today. Or no, it wasn't her short, I was on the replay crew for your live earlier today, and you shouted me out about, like, my energy and working with my kid and stuff, and I said, "I function on coffee and hope and spite." The spite. It's because, someone out there says, "You can't do this." Well, I'm gonna do it out of spite. That was like the weight loss doctor I saw. He actually is a surgeon, and so I remember asking him at one of my appointments, I said, "Do you think I can lose this weight I want to without surgery?" And he said I mean, he not unkind. He was not being unkind, like, don't get me wrong, he was probably being realistic with all the people he's seen, but he said, "No, I really don't think so, just being honest." And so now my goal is I'm gonna do it out of spite, just to prove him wrong. Not mean spite, just, mischievous spite. Misha! You're here! I'm so glad you caught us. Thank you for coming. I'm so glad to see you. And there's a reunion happening in my chat, and that makes me so happy. That makes me so glad. Oh, tech issues put on hold. Oh, but you're able to type again. Sweet. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. That's wonderful. I'm glad you're able to type once more. Oh, wow, I got behind. I was I was gabbing, drink coffee all day long, all night, every day. Yep, yep, yep. Sometimes I have a little bit of coffee in the evenings. Not a lot, just a little bit. Mary says, I got off the live on the lifeboat and just broke down into tears. Memories of my papu were so precious. Yeah, you were talking about him earlier. I loved hearing you. I think I was not on full replay crew for that one. I was on like I joined late and like I caught up on double speed, but I really enjoyed watching you guys talk about your experiences with your family members with multiple sclerosis. And I especially love hearing people talk about people that they loved. It hits my heart. Hey, look who it is. Hi, Tara Smiling. I think is this the first time you come to one of my lives? I'm so glad to see you. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming. We hang out. We're just hanging out and talking about nothing. Uh, grandparent stories, being subversive, being mischievous. These are fun things all. Avoid as much refined and high fructose corn sugar that you can. Okay, okay. Yeah, it's really weird that they put corn in everything. What the heck is that about? There's corn in the gasoline for your car. That's that's flipping weird. That's weird. I've always thought that was weird. And I don't know if it's accurate, but my dad said that the corn and the ethanol, it's made from corn, is actually usually bad for your engine, but they put it in there anyway. It's basically like filler. Um, but it is what it is. I don't know if it's true that it's bad for your engine. It's probably not entirely untrue. Drink coffee like Americans, exceptionally extra strong. Oh, do Americans drink their coffee stronger? I didn't know that. I'm learning so many new things. Listening while wrestling with your Tori that looks almost exactly like Squirrel. She's so much fun. Aw, I love kitty cats. I had a really cool kitty cat named Shoo who weighed about 15 pounds. He looked kinda like a Maine Coon mix, but we don't know for sure because he was like, you know, my best friend's cat got knocked up and had kittens, and he was one of the 4 kittens. He looked entirely different than his 3 siblings, so we wonder if maybe he had a different dad because that can happen with cats. Like, it can be one litter, but certain ones in the litter can have a different cat dad, which I didn't know. I thought that was wild. I thought that was interesting. I think all kinds of things are interesting. I have a hard time niching down on interests. Yay! Yay, Misha. Oh, you're so kind. Try to do best I can. There's a lot of us now. It's hard to keep up. Yes! There's so many ripples. There's so many people like doing lives and have channels. Tara Smiling has a channel. I think almost everybody here puts out like a good portion. Blessed to Crochet. Mary has her channel. Um, let's see. Let's see. Miss Dragon has her channel. Everybody share your channels if you are so inclined. I think we might all know each other's channels already though, right now, because we're a small group. But for people that stumble across this later, maybe somebody stumbled across it later and doesn't have it. So, oh, I got behind. Do, 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 do. Well, I got behind and then I skipped ahead. This is the first you've been able to catch. I'm so glad. I go on like late like this when I do because it's when my kiddo's asleep and like the house gets quiet and people don't need anything from me mostly. Cuz I typically work like 8 to 5 with like, breaks in there. I work from home right now. Um that's going to change though in the next month. And then I pick up my kiddo and then get home, make dinner, keep him alive, entertained, get him bathed. Uh, then usually my husband's home to take over some of bedtime so I can take our dog on a walk. And then usually it's on my dog walk, but I have the lifeboat on my phone lately. That's how I do it. Usually everybody in there is going on a dog walk with me. Y'all just don't all know it. And then I get home and hang out for a little bit, check on little man, see if he's asleep. And then lately what I do here is I do this. I go live and I hang out with you nice people. Um, yeah. So and I hop in lives during the day, like intermittently in and out. Like if I'm doing work that doesn't involve like a meeting or something I have to listen to, then I'll put y'all on. And if I have to hop in and out for calls and stuff, I will. I put y'all on in the car with me when I'm driving places. And when I'm playing with my little kiddo, like everything is, I'm focusing on him. But there's a lot of movement, and sometimes he wants to do his own thing. So I'm in and out of everybody's lives all day long. And usually I at least say hi. I used to lurk a lot. I don't lurk so much anymore because I feel like I know all of y'all. I feel like I don't have to lurk. Corn syrup is addictive as sugar. I was not aware of this, but like regular sugar, I think it tastes better. I think it definitely tastes better because so my favorite soda is Dr. Pepper. That's my favorite. And I've had the Dr. Pepper that's just in the can and has high fructose corn syrup. But then some places you can buy Dr. Pepper with cane sugar, like with real sugar in it. And that always is tastier to me. It's so much better. I'm kind of off of soda right now because I let it get out of hand. Like I was back to like drinking a soda or two every day. And when I start to let it get out of hand like that, I'm like, okay, I need to reel it back in and just make it up like only when I go out to eat or something. Oh, we're trading contact info, but I won't put it up on the screen. I won't dox you. No, well, it's not doxing to have contact info. Never mind. I'm still learning all the YouTube's words. We prefer ethanol free, Miss Dragon. It costs more, but you get more mileage per gallon. That's what it is. Like the mileage is better. think that's what my dad said too. I don't even know if there's any place near me I could find ethanol free. Like, I think it's all ethanol. Like, I don't think I could find any. Every gas station I go to around here has that little, like, disclaimer, like, "This is this much percent ethanol." Oh, we being lazy? I'm being lazy. The Vietnamese coffee. Yes, missed. That's funny you bring that up. My, my sister and brother-in-law, well, they're both my in-laws because it's my husband's sister and her husband, but they are missionaries and they go around different places, and one of the places they have been recently was Vietnam, although they have to technically say East Asia because there's, like, I don't know, you're not supposed to be a missionary there or something like that. It's like a whole big thing. So I won't say who they are or what missionary group they work for, but they brought us back Vietnamese coffee. Stuff is strong. Like, the taste was a little much for me, but wakes you up. Like, they're not playing. That's like gunpowder or something. It's good stuff for waking up. We're all trading contact info. That's awesome. The ethanol is bad for engines that sit very long at all. Oh, okay. So, like, if you don't drive every day, it's probably not gonna be good for your car. Yeah, that makes sense because it's filler. I would assume it's because it's filler. Yay! People are connecting and sharing contact info. That makes me so happy. Oh, and I asked about the coffee, so Mon is responding to me here. Definitely. My girlfriend met an American, got married, and have come back to Australia, no longer safe in Chicago, and I love how they make their coffee. You know, my in-laws make their coffee a lot stronger than I did before I met them. They're the ones that are from Massachusetts. Now, my parents' coffee is, like, no slouch, but it's not strong like that. Like, I don't know if that's regional or if that's just personal preference. Oh, thank you, Tara. So I can't take credit for a lot of that. A lot of that is, like, the football decor, the Patriots stuff, the Red Sox stuff. Like, that's my husband brought that in. I married into a Bostonian family. They're all originally from a tiny town right outside of Boston. And so I married into it. And now I'm a Patriots fan by marriage. But actually, I don't mind because that was how I started having a lot of fun watching football for the first time because at the time we got together, they were on a roll. They were doing really, really well, and it's always fun to watch when your team is winning, and I grew up in Dallas, and the Cowboys have not been winning like that since the early '90s, so it was nice. It was a nice change of pace, but what's interesting is that, like, I grew up watching a lot of football because, like, I grew up in a small suburban town in Texas, and high school football is a huge thing. Football in general is a huge thing. Like, it's part of the culture here. Like, if you go to a small town in Texas where there's nothing else to do, the whole town will go to the high school football game. That's just how we do. It's part of the culture. Um, and the town I grew up in was no exception. It's way huger, way huger. It's way bigger now than it was, but football is still super important. And so I grew up watching a lot of football. But I was never as super excited and into it until I started learning about, like, the different stories of the players and, like, how they got to be where they were and what their family history and their childhood was like, and, like, the history of, like, how this coach started out at this team and, like, what made that person tick. So I got really into, like, not even like, the game itself can be fun to watch, but I like knowing about the relationships and the connections between people and why they are the way they are. Like, I'm shocked that Tom Brady ever retired because I didn't think that that guy was capable of retiring from anything, um, because he's just driven, you know? Um, some people don't like him for all kinds of reasons. That's fine, but whatever you think about him, he's driven. He's a driven person. You were chosen by BP when they first tasting ethanol back in the early '80s. Really? Really? That's interesting. Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess they haven't always had ethanol in gasoline. Let's see. Oh, I clearly missed something further back, and for that, I apologize. So the same thing can happen with dogs. I didn't spay. Oh, with the cats having multiple fathers in one litter. I didn't know that could happen with dogs too. I didn't spay neuter my huskies in time years ago, and they had pups. The runt was considerably smaller, and the vet said she was probably conceived later. Yeah, I think that may have been what happened with my cat. He only lived to be 10, which is not super long for a cat, but he had feline diabetes and he had some other problems too, but he was a sweet kitty cat. He was so sweet. Yeah, I'm done. Just hit 70 subs. I think like I was just at 70 subs. I think now I'm at like 80 something, and that's so exciting to me. Like, that's wild. Like, and I know not all those people watch, and that's fine, but, like, just the fact that that many people thought, like, "Hey, I'll click subscribe to this lady," like, that's wild. That's something, you know? Um, I think it was what does it say I'm at now? I don't know. Is this weird? Is this vain to be looking to see how many I have while we're talking together? Somebody tell me what the etiquette is here because I honestly don't know. If somebody tells me the rules, I will attempt to follow them. 84 subscribers. Ah, that's wild. That's wild. Um, and somehow I have 90 videos, probably because I have a lot of shorts and a lot of karaoke. So there's at least one video for each of you. For each of you. Each person gets their own. Miss says that's exactly why you go live a little bit after 1 o'clock. It's between hubby's phone calls. Yeah, that makes sense. Nobody's here to hog the bandwidth since I only got 20 megs of internet speed. Is that just like the fastest you can get where you are? I know some places you can't get very fast. We can get pretty fast speed here because it's like, it's really close to a metropolitan area, but I know that like it's different once you get out into the more like rural areas, once you get further away from Dallas. Okay, my dad worked at BP and you were paying 20 cents per liter. Wow. So I think in terms of gallons, because that's how we do it here, but that seems way better than today. It's gotta be. It's gotta be. The price that is. It's true, Miss Sunrise Dawn does have so many great things going on. Yeah. You're so welcome. It's great that you're all in here. I'm happy that the people who are here too. That makes me happy as well. It is great. Aw, I'm glad that you feel blessed, Miss Sunrise Dawn. I feel blessed as well. I really do. Mon asked if you had a channel. Mon says no, not at the moment, not yet. I'm just kidding. Maybe you don't want to. That's fine. The ones with cane sugar usually come. Oh, the sodas usually come out of Mexico, and it's so much better. Yeah, like Mexican Coke, a cola. It's really tasty. I have to specify that because I mean, I don't know. I feel like I should specify it. Just put it in the Google Maps. Ooh, what did I miss? What am I putting in the Google Maps? What did I miss? I don't know. Didn't think so. Oh, yeah, we didn't wanna leave you out, Mon, if you did have a channel. We love to support each other for sure. Hey, Rick! It's so good to see you. I'm so glad you came. I'm so glad you stopped by. He's reminding us all to lay off sugar. My name is Rick. I'm a candy holic. Well, the first step to, recovery is admitting you have a problem. For sure, right? Everybody badmouths sugar. Poop's bad to eat. No one talks about that. Right. I hope people are not eating that, though. I hope they're not. But you're right, no one talks about it. It's true. It's true. You just identified the elephant in the room, sir. I salute you. You're not allowed to lurk. We love you too much. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, if people feel like or people feel like lurking, that's okay. I think what is the channel I lurked on for a while? Tommy Stig's Social Club. I lurk on that one because I'm only half awake. Um, so usually I lurk. But the other day he said something really funny, and so I had to say something. Yeah, usually that's what'll bring me out of lurkdom is if somebody says something that makes me laugh like a hyena, then I'll express my appreciation. Chicory coffee? I don't think I've had chicory coffee. How is that different, I wonder? How is that different? That is the spoon stands up straight up and down in your glass. Mm. Yeah, Mary is quick with the links. Mary is like, she's on it. She's on it. Yes, Tara, this is correct. This is correct. So, um, I got my full license as a licensed professional counselor in Texas in 2016. Yeah, 2016. Um, and that's what I did. I worked in community mental health care for a few years. I worked for a little bit, I worked with a psychologist. I did testing for him. So, like IQ testing, assessments, things like that. And then for a little while, I worked for a private practice. But then, circumstances at the time, like I had like other stuff going on that I needed to support. I needed more stability and things like that. I had a long commute that I was trying to do it with. So I was looking for another job and I ended up taking a corporate job. And that's where I've been working for the past 7.5 years. And originally I was like, I'm going to work this corporate job for like a couple years before I get back into it. And then I I just stayed. I just stayed too long. And gradually I've just been feeling worse and worse and worse. And it's kind of been sucking my soul. Not kinda, actually a lot. A lot. It's been sucking my soul. And actually, like I knew that, but like it really became obvious to me when I found you guys and this community and the lifeboat and just interacting with people and connecting with people. And it like made me realize like, wow, I miss that. I miss connecting with people. And there's all kinds of ways you can do that. You don't have to be a therapist to do that, but um that's one way that I would have make very meaningful connections with people and attempt to help a little bit. So I gave my notice to my corporate job on Tuesday. I gave them a lengthy notice because I'm a manager there. So it's the nice thing to do to give like a month's notice if you're a manager. So that's what I did. But I'm going to start working with a friend of mine from back in my internship days who owns a private practice with 3 locations here in the Dallas area. So I'm going to take some time working with her and getting back into the clinical part of it because, it's been a while, but I'm really, really, really excited. And then eventually, like the long term goal is to do one that's, like my practice, my business that's, closer to where I am. But it's exciting. And I actually have I started like a professional like business Facebook for that, that's like not my personal. So I'll if anyone's interested, I'll share that. And the group I'm going to be working with, they do telehealth, but we're only licensed in Texas. So right now I can only work with people in Texas. And this is a good point in the stream to say that this channel does not substitute for a therapeutic relationship. And if you are in crisis, please access a crisis resource. You got to throw that in there. But I can't help but like draw on that education and that experience when I talk about things because it's ingrained in my head. So you can't just turn it off. At least I can't. Coffee talk. I love coffee talk. Mary says, I'm getting good practice being a mod. I think I'm good. You are good at it, Mary. Like I'm very fortunate. Like you are good at it. Misha, you're awesome too. Um, y'all are all everybody that mods here is awesome. And Mary, you jumped in it like a fish to water, I think. A fish to water. But not a fish I'm gonna catch on a trout line because that would be mean. Trout line. Trout. There's a gas station just down the street from me that's ethanol free. Oh, that's cool. The only reason I know is because my dad's lawnmower requires ethanol free. I didn't know that. I wonder if I destroyed our old lawnmower that way. Maybe that's why it stopped starting. I don't know. I don't know. Y'all know when we first moved into this house, what was it? Like 9 years ago, I was the one that mowed the lawn. My husband has never mowed the lawn ever. He's way on the other side of the house. I don't know why I'm whispering. He would admit it, but he has really bad allergies, and I was really stubborn about hiring people. I didn't want to hire people. I wanted to mow my own lawn. So I did for like the first few years we lived here, and then we had my son, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna help somebody be employed. There's a little too much to do. I got to outsource something. Monica, totally agree with you. Been making cold brew. Once that kicks in, I'm talkative and awake for hours. Oh, I love cold brew. Cold brew is tasty. Rick says, hey, bless Kristen, Awakened Dawn, Tara, Moni, Mystic, Opera, Alan, Chase Lurkers. Had to make you laugh. Yeah, yeah. Chase Lurkers. Oh. I don't know. Has anybody lurk? I don't know. We might have. Do we have lurkers? I think I see everybody talking. Like it says 5. Oh, but I don't know if it would tell me there's 5 if they haven't commented. Is that how that works? Like it doesn't like show you the person and the number unless they have commented, and that way you're truly invisible and you're a true lurker. That's why I say if you pop up and say hello and say, "Hi, I'm lurking." Well, you're not really lurking now. We can see you. Or maybe they go back into lurkdom. Me too, Miss Sunrise Dawn. Rick always manages to make me laugh also. We love Rick's sense of humor here. Ooh, bacon coffee. That sounds amazing. Bacon makes everything better. Everything. Even if you have some bacon that's kind of subpar, just add more bacon. It's perfect. It's perfect. Mist School District is so small that there was a couple years you didn't have a football team, but you had a hell of a soccer team. Well, I mean, as long as you got something, as long as you got something to watch and keep everybody busy and running around and not acting a fool, because if teenagers don't have stuff to keep them busy, they will reliably act foolish. It's kind of like what they do. I mean, you can't even really blame them. It's like blaming a cat for trying to catch birds. Cats hunt things and teenagers act foolish. It just is what it is. Got a few calls. Okay. Have a great night, Misha. Thank you for coming tonight. It's so good to see you. I'm always happy to see you. Bacon coffee. Again, I'm I'm so intrigued. I also needed to order some of that bacon jam that you mentioned, Mary. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, your dad coached all sports, Mist? Oh, wow. And you coached AU basketball for boys and middle school soccer for girls. I have never coached a sport before. That sounds really interesting. I don't think I'd be very good at it though, because I don't play the sports very well. So I assume you have to have been good at it at some point to coach it. Maybe I don't know. I played basketball in 6th and 7th grade. I really enjoyed it actually in 6th grade. And then I got a really, really bad coach. Like she was just nasty. Like coaches yell or whatever, and some of that's normal, but she was just nasty. So it kind of like just turned me off of the whole thing. And I was also doing theater in middle school. So I kind of threw all my eggs in that basket. I was like, well, I'm busy enough as it is. So if you're going to be a jerk to me, then I'll just go be busy with other things. Here's Rick's self promotion. You're baking a cake. Ooh, what kind of cake? And can I have some? That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. Started not to taste. There's some of us here probably old enough to remember regular gasoline before unleaded came in. Ooh, I don't know if this is far back enough, but I do remember being a kid going on road trips with my parents, and they would like when it was time to start looking for gasoline in the car, they would like look at this one across the street from this one and say, "Oh, well, that one's this much and that one's this much." And I I think I remember a time they said something like, "Well, that one's 99 cents a gallon and that one's 98." And now it's like, was that real? Did that really happen? Was it real? Thank you, Tara. That makes me feel better. I assume you're referring to me asking if it was vain to check how many subscribers I have while I'm on stream. My house, my rules. Alrighty. Well, I guess my rule is be nice, you know? That's my rule. That's my rule. That's what we're gonna do. Be nice. That's it. That's it. That's the rule. Be nice. I think that covers a lot, actually. Congratulations, Dawn. So cool making that many people happy. Sweet. Yes. Yes, it is. Not at all. Okay, you don't think it's vain either? Phew, okay. Not at all, especially with a small channel. One or two people make a difference. Yes, I swear, like every time I get a little notification, it's like so and so subscribed. I'm like, really to me? I feel that way every time. Like, really? Thank you for sharing this, Mary. This is the live that my other's keeper and Mary did tonight. And in case you missed it, it was great. It was good stuff. It was good stuff. All right, thanks, y'all. Y'all will have to let me know that the YouTube etiquette. Please know that if I skirt the YouTube etiquette, it is never on purpose. It is never out of malice. It's just out of ignorance, pure ignorance. And I don't mind people telling me when I'm being ignorant as long as they're nice about it. Like I did a short like of me walking my dog, and then one of the comments I got was like, most trainers don't recommend harnesses, and your dog is leading you. And I could go on. But it really didn't bother me. I was just like, "Oh, okay, I never thought about that. Like, what should I look at? Like, how do I walk my dog better then? Help me out, person. It's fine." It's the fastest I can get any other place. Don't come into this cul-de-sac area, so I'm stuck. Oh, I think I may have missed the beginning of that. Mexican Coca-Cola. Ha 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 ha. With the good cane sugar. That's what we like. Does it, Miss Sunrise Dawn? It feels super weird to be discussing baby stuff with my daughter. I never thought about it from that perspective. Like when I was pregnant and talking about it with my mother years ago, I wonder if that was surreal for her. Like, when did this happen? I remember one time she asked me, "So what do you think of being pregnant?" And I was like, I mean, it's okay. Like, I wasn't super far along at that point yet, so I wasn't ridiculously uncomfortable. But if you asked me like around month 8, I probably would have said, "Yeah, I think this is the last time I'm doing this." Uh, but I had preeclampsia, and that made it more uncomfortable towards the end, especially. So, yes, thank you for sharing that, Mary. Oh, and I accidentally unclicked it. Sorry, trigger happy clicker. I have a birthday wish. I'm 34 away from 500. 34, only 34. I want 500 subs, and the icing on the cake would be my 3,000 watch hours. My birthday is in June. I think we can make that happen. I see it happening for you. I know it's happening. You're really close to the 500. You're really, really close. Like last time I checked. So I think that's definitely going to happen. Oh, Rick. I see y'all working hard, building a nice support community, a shoulder at any time. And hi, Mystic and all. Yeah, that's the idea. That's the idea for sure. You know what I can't remember if I said it on a stream or if I just said it to someone else in passing, but the other day I was thinking about like, I don't, maybe I said it here that like sometimes this is kind of like the chat rooms of the AOL days, but instead you have like a host and someone kind of like watching it and like drawing attention and like calling it out and you know hopefully some people keeping out jerks too. So I don't know, it kind of makes it a little bit like I kind of wish that chat rooms had been like that when I was first getting online on the internet, like when I was 13 or so, like 11, 12, 13. Because like AOL chat rooms, they could be cool and you could like meet people. Like I think Mary, you said you met your husband that way, and that's awesome. But they were just totally, like, unregulated too, like, no one was watching those to see if there was, like, creepiness going on, and I was an 11 or 12-year-old girl with a screen name called Gymnast373, and I got a lot of really creepy IMs, like, really gross stuff. Um, so I like this idea of, like, having a host and, like, having mods, you know? Like, anyway, squirreled off in another direction there, you guys. Yay! Yay! Tara subscribed to Mary. Woohoo! I love this. I love that my live is helping this happen. You watch Tommy Six sometimes too, Miss Underdog. He is funny. He is funny. You know what? He said something that stuck in my head that I think it was like the second one I watched, maybe. I don't remember what day it was, but it was about like how you should react if your wife makes you dinner. And I thought, like, that is so much wisdom. There's so much wisdom. It was like, don't be seasoning that stuff. Don't be seasoning that shit. She made it for you. She made it how it's supposed to be. Leave it alone and try it first. I kinda liked that. It's just very respectful, I think. Now if there needs to be seasoning in food I make, I'll tell you. Like, if I didn't put any salt in, I'll tell you. So that's a little different. I tend to undersalt food because I have oversalted it in the past, and you can always add more, but you can never take it out. It doesn't work. Thank you for checking on that, Miss Sunrise Dawn. Thanks for supporting each other. Oh, and Mary's email's in the description of her videos. Aw, that's so sweet. Aw. Mary, you have such a big heart, and I love it. Aw. Tara says, I get the feeling that you've helped and will help a lot of people with your work. Thank you, Tara. Thank you. That means a lot. It really does. Thank you very much. And I think the same thing about you, by the way, with like your peer support work too, because that's really important. Like that's almost as like I feel like that's a piece of the picture. Like you can't like you could just work with a therapist and that's great, but I feel like people need more connection than just that, you know? I feel like peer support is the special sauce, you know? It's like the glue that makes it all stick together. Um Like, and I'll say too, like, therapists are not, like, infallible people, like, we have issues and sometimes we screw up royally in our own lives, you know, everybody's human, and, like, it's kind of an open secret that therapists go into school to learn how to do therapy because we have had our own experiences with something that, like, made us a little cracked or a little broken or a trauma or something. And like experiencing that allows you to empathize with other people going through stuff like that. And so like for a while, like early on in my career, I had this idea like I need to be this perfect person. Like nobody can know that I've ever had my own issues because then they won't find me helpful or they won't respect me or whatever. But none of that's true at all. Like, at least what I found is that, like, if I have a therapist, like, I relate to them more knowing that they have had struggles similar to mine. I just do. And I'm more likely to feel comfortable, like, opening up with them. So, just a little bit about therapy. Rick asks, "How do you help test for a psychologist?" Aggravate him all day. Nice job. I love it. I love that. I think I did aggravate him sometimes, actually. So, my program in grad school was a little different. It was not only did we focus on, like, counseling methods, but we also focused on psychological assessment. I had to do a whole year of coursework on just assessment and a practicum, which is, like, where you go somewhere and you basically do that job, but you do it for free under a supervisor, and it's coursework. And I did that course, and I did psych testing, and I did psych testing and therapy, um, with female inmates at a federal women's prison in Fort Worth, and that's the first people that called me their therapist, and the first person I ever did a psychological assessment on was this really nice lady, and, Yeah, it wasn't the first person I worked with, it was to do an assessment, like an IQ test and stuff like that, to help figure out diagnosis and if there were, sometimes you were identifying learning disabilities, like for GED accommodations and stuff like that. I think it was something like that with her. Um, but she was just the nicest lady, and I remember that, and I remember, like, feeling at ease, like, immediately, and, like, people weren't always nice, like, sometimes people cut up in groups or whatever, but mostly everyone was just, like, people are people wherever you go, uh, you know? Uh, but that had a really, um it had an effect on me, you know? Most of the women I worked with were there for drugs, for a crime related to drugs, like possession of some kind, distribution. Usually, if people were distributing, it was to support their own habit, um, or it was some other kind of crime to make money for drugs. Like the vast majority, the vast majority. Um, that's also how I learned that mail fraud is a federal crime, and if you commit mail fraud, that you get sent to federal prison. And I didn't know that before either. But, like, the defining moment in my education there was, like, I had this, like, day where I was like, "The only difference between me and all these people here is luck." Literally, like, because I have issues, and if I had a worse issue, like, if I had a worse habit, or if I didn't have the advantages I have, I'd be on the other side of this table, and that just forever, forever. And let's get a little lighter and remember the anchovies. Anchovies are delicious, but Mary doesn't like them. Mary's gonna give me all the anchovies. That's our deal. That's our deal. I did. I'm so behind in the chat because I love reading what everybody has to say. I did. Well, it's not 2 weeks. I gave them, like, a month. So, because 'cause I'm a manager there, I have a team that asks me stuff to do. Um, so I gave them a month's notice to find somebody. But my boss is actually really cool about it. Like she's great. She's a great boss. So, aw, Miss Sunray Did your youngest is really hoping it's a girl. Aw, and we do have the girl stuff already from my 5-year-old. Aw, you're just a housewife with some horse sense. No one is ever just a housewife. No one is ever just an anything. I don't think. Like everybody has like some wild complex stuff in their history that makes them who they are. Everybody. No one's just in anything. Aw, thank you, Tara. Please, please come along with me. I'm happy you're here. I'm happy you're here. Thank you. I'm really interested in yours too, Tara, actually. Like you just seem like a cool person. You seem like you'd be fun to talk to. And um, it's interesting, like the community mental health clinics here in Texas only just started integrating some peer support specialists in the past, I guess, 10 years or so. But like local community mental health centers, like they employ specifically people as peer support specialists. And Texas now you can bill Medicaid for peer support, and it's because there's so much good research to back it up as helping people. And we were getting to a point where like the counselors, the therapists would like work with the peer support specialists, and we would refer people back and forth. Like I would sometimes meet people that I would think like this person really needs more peer support than me, like maybe a little bit of therapy, but probably more peer support. And then they would refer people back to me too. So it was great. Agreed. Mary is great. Thank you, Miss Sunrise Dawn. I fired myself. It was great. It's funny. I tried to tell her on Monday, but she had like a million other things going on. And she was like, no, just wait and tell me tomorrow. It was really awkward because I was like, "Oh, okay." Um, but we had the good conversation the next day, and she understood, and she accepted it, so Rick Spicer says, "Kristen setting up new job future, Tara setting up new job future, Bless setting up as a lifeboat, others building." Pretty cool. It is all pretty cool. It really is. Miss Sunrise Dawn, you were allowed to mow the lawn once. We had an electric mower. I ran over the cord and chopped it in half. Oh, no. I was never allowed to mow again. When I mowed our own lawn, I used a gas mower because that's what I'd always seen my dad use, so that seemed normal to me. I was allowed to mow. So lurkers do show up in the viewer count? Okay. So, like, I'm on StreamYard, so I can see the little eye, and it says a 6. So that would include people that aren't commenting if there are any. That's good to know. I think the first live I did, I just went live on YouTube, so I couldn't do this cool thing where you put up comments. And when I found StreamYard, I was like, "Oh, look, I can put up comments now." Like, I feel like a little kid in a candy store. Okay, it does show everyone, whether they've commented or not. I can't remember the name of the song you sang, but after that, all I had was the song Delta Dawn run up through my head. This is the one from Today, Mist? That one was, Brown Eyes by Lady Gaga. Was it if it was the one from Today, that's what that one was. That just popped on my playlist. I'm like, "I'm gonna sing along with this, and I'll put it up, and if it sucks, it sucks." Aw, they don't even trust you to hold power tools, Miss Sunrise Dawn? Oh, I'm sorry. Not even like a power drill? We're bonding over the songs. "Cake's done, bye. Bye, all." I mean ooh, did you really make a cake, Rick? Oh, I want some. Is it chocolate? I want chocolate cake. Mom says, "I'm hoping I've signed up for everyone's channels now." There's a lot of us now, but that's cool. That's awesome. I love that. Good night, Rick. Good night. Enjoy your cake and sleep well. Dawn, I can understand. Like me with kisses, Christine 16. Christine 16. Kelly's here. Hi, Kelly. Wow, I am so behind in the chat. These are from 12:04. Oh no. How did this happen? Oh my goodness. I didn't wow. Now I know. Oh wow. I'm so behind. What a wonderful problem to have though. Y'all are chatting. That makes me happy. I guess y'all don't need me to throw up every comment on there. Y'all are talking to each other. Y'all don't need me to say everything. Oh, Tara, I'm glad that you are there to help them. I'm glad. You're probably already gone, but thanks for being here. Miss says, I've never been to a therapist. I've only been in a taxi once on public transportation to and from Pearl Harbor. And I've never been to a nightclub. Can you say sheltered? Uh, I mean, sometimes those things just may not be around where you are. I think with public transportation, you're not missing much. Like, that's not super exciting. Mostly it's just dirty. People are in your personal space. Um, and some people have different feelings about therapists, right? Like, but the most important thing is finding somebody, like if you're gonna do therapy, you gotta find somebody you connect with. Because if you don't like them, then you're not gonna feel comfortable sharing all your deepest stuff with them. And if you're not comfortable being 100% honest, then therapy is not gonna help that much. So that's just my 2 cents. I tried a couple different people first before I found the therapist that I work with. And therapists do have therapists. I saw a funny meme once that was like, somebody said, I'm going to go to a therapist, but I'm going to ask who their therapist is. And then I'm going to go see that one. Then I'm going to ask who their therapist is and go see that one and keep repeating it until I get to the final boss therapist and maybe they'll be able to fix me. I think that would be fun. Used to be called internship, but you got your credits, but you didn't get paid. Yeah, yeah. Well, I did kind of both of those. So at least in the state of Texas, to get your LPC as a licensed professional counselor, you have to get your degree, and then you also then have to get 3,000 hours of supervised experience. So I worked in a couple community mental health clinics with a supervisor, and I had to like log my clinical hours for the time I was doing that. Um, and it took me a long time. And you have to have a board approved supervisor or the hours don't count. So I actually had one job in a community mental health clinic for like 2 years where none of the time counted towards that licensure. um, because I didn't have a board approved supervisor yet. Because to be a board approved supervisor, you have to go do more coursework and you have to get another thing added to your license. So even before that, so that's what they call intern hours. But even before that, um, when I was actually working on my degree, that's when I worked at the women's prison. Is that was basically like a class, like they treated it like a coursework that you were going and being a therapist there. And I had a psychologist who supervised me there too. She was pretty cool. She helped me get a lot of jobs later because she was my reference for a lot of things. 13 years of dance class. Wow. That's awesome. 5 years of choir and 2 years of acting. You are a unique housewife then, for sure. I mean, I knew you were anyway, but that's really cool. Dad worked Miss Sunrise Dawn's dad worked with computers before he retired, and you gave him a sign that he kept in an office, and it said, "To err is human. To really foul things up requires a computer." I think that's very true. I think that's very true. That's right, Kelly. I remember you telling me about this, that you've been in school for the past 4 years working on a psychology degree. Undergrad was fun. Um, I'm trying to think back to it because you're really getting, like, you don't have to, like, niche down, like, you're really getting, like, a sampling of everything. Like, you're getting stuff about child development, you're getting stuff about, like, disorders, like, abnormal psychology. You're getting a little bit of everything. So that bachelor's in psychology is really fun. I also got in a lot of trouble while I was working on my bachelor's, but I didn't get caught and I got my degree, so 'cause that was my early 20s and that was another Kristen, an evil Kristen, who was a lot of fun, but yeah, I had some issues. I'm sorry, Miss Sunrise Dawn, I thought it was a girl, as long as it's healthy, right? Excited to hear whether you'll be having a grandson or a granddaughter. Oh, that's right, we don't know yet. It's still a mystery. Still a mystery. No need to apologize. She has her first appointment on May 3rd. That's getting soon. That's so exciting. That first one, it looks like a little like it's just a little blip on a screen during that first appointment. But it's exciting because you get to hear the heartbeat, and that's a really cool thing. A really cool feeling. Okay, you don't even have a traffic light or a bar where and when you went from a Ford Taurus to a Mercury Sable, somebody asked you if you painted your car? Nice. Oh, thank you, Miss Sunrise Dawn, that makes me feel better. Don't worry about getting an hour behind. Denver Stevo has gotten well over an hour behind in the chat sometimes. Alright, so, like, 20 minutes? I'm okay, I'm okay. Oh, and it's getting to be that time. In about 30 minutes, Chow Yun Smut goes live on her channel, usually around that time. Let me see if I have any notifications yet. I don't think I do. That's usually what I do. Usually I watch for the notification. If I'm still on at that time, like, I was trying to, like, I don't know, keep it to an hour, but this is fun, and it's fun to give y'all a place to chat too. So I lose track of time, and I just keep hanging. One day, Miss Dragon is going to take us for a trail walk, and I'll crochet. I love that. We kinda do that, like, via the YouTubes, right? Like, we can, like, log on, but I think you mean, like, in person, like, physically in the same place. That would be super cool. Steve got really chatty once, did an 8-hour stream. Holy guacamole. What do you do when you have to get up and go to the bathroom, though? Like, do you just leave it running? Do you turn off your camera? Like, surely you don't take it with you. No, no, surely not. No, no, that would get taken down off YouTube. That's inappropriate. But what do you do? 8 hours? There's gotta be a meal in there somewhere too. Did he eat with you guys there? I have so many questions. Is this still available so I can see what happened? I have so many questions. I don't know if I could do 8, but maybe, I don't know. Like 2 hours flies by when you're having fun. I think if it were just me in here, probably not. But when other people show up, it's real easy to get in the flow and just wrapped up in it. And I could sort of see. Did he plan to do an 8-hour stream, or did it just, like, happen? That's kinda wild. I kinda love that. I don't know if I'll be able to do that anytime soon because of little humans and dogs and things like that, but I would totally try it. I will try almost anything once. Almost, almost. I have limits. I have limits. He put little Davy doll in the chair for a potty break and memory serves. Oh, that's okay. So like he got up and left the doll in front of the screen. That's cute. I like that a lot. I like that. Miss says I'll be going out tomorrow, but me and Mary have to figure out the kinks so I can go out when it's a clear sky day. Gotcha. Gotcha. That would be nice. So it wasn't a planned 8-hour stream, it just happened? That's baller. I'm sorry, but it is, like I feel like an 8-hour stream for most people would be like an event, like you plan for it. If it just happened so, did the mods, like, switch out? Were you guys sitting there and they're like, what's happening here? We're on hour 4?" Kinda like Cricket putting Ella in the chair. I don't think I have anything in here right now I could do that with. I'm looking. Wait, maybe I do, but, I don't know. Hold on just a second. Have anything I could do that with? Ah! I'm knocking over my microphone. This is no bueno. Shan't have that. We shan't. Okay, I did have a little Susie Sheep figurine. It's a character from Peppa Pig that I could have used, but I don't see where she went. I think she might have fallen under the desk. Is anybody here familiar with Peppa Pig? Maybe, maybe not. It's a kids show. It's British. Um, there's a character, but all the characters are animals. And there's this one character named Susie Sheep. And there's this running thing in the show where multiple episodes, something or someone will get stuck up in a tree. And all of the kids will say, "How are we going to get, Tiddles the tortoise down from the tree? Or how are we going to get so and so down for the tree?" And the first thing Susie Sheep always says is, "Chop the tree down." So I like to say Susie Sheep is subversive. Um, so I have a little figurine of Susie Sheep on my desk, and I have had her on my desk for about the past 2 years to remind me to be subversive uh, and not become too much of a corporate drone. And unfortunately for the corporate, it worked. It kept me a little subversive. Oh, he took out a lot of his streams at one point. Oh, bummer. Bummer, bummer, bummer. Miss Dragon, you said oofda. Oofda? What does oofda mean? I don't know what that is. But hi, Janet. I'm so glad you're here. I didn't see you sneak in. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming. I'll probably wrap up here pretty soon so I can start winding down and put on Chow's channel because that's the thing now. I'm gonna try not to stay up till 3 in the morning tonight. Your daughter loves Peppa too? Yay! Oh, I feel like your daughter and my son would get along, Miss Sunrise Dawn. Your daughter just turned 5, and mine's gonna be 5 next month. That would be cool. Yeah, he loves Peppa. That's like the first and only show we let him watch for quite a long time. Because they're usually pretty polite. They usually don't like do stupid things and set bad examples. It's fun. It's a cute show. They're kind to one another usually. So I like it. Janet G says here, oh, Miss Dragon says I'm a little over a quarter Norwegian. Oh, I did not know that. That's cool. I think so. I did the 23andMe thing, which now means my DNA is in a database somewhere, but it is what it is. They probably could have gotten that on their own anyway, but now I get something out of it. I think so. My heritage was primarily German and French, um, which makes sense. My great grandmother on my mom's side was like born in France, and they moved to the United States when she was very, very little. And there's stories about my mom speaking French with her as a child, but she doesn't remember any French now. Like She picked it up as a child to talk to her grandmother, but then forgot it when they stopped talking about it, or when they stopped speaking because she passed. Janet G says, "I am 100% Norwegian." You remember that episode, Miss Sunrise Dawn? I'm glad you do. They did it happened several times. Tittles the tortoise was always getting stuck in the tree. Actually, it's funny, a coworker of mine was the one who told me she actually told me, "You should get a tattoo of Susie Sheep and right next to it, chop the tree down." I don't have it yet, but I'm seriously considering it. Within Scandinavian American culture, "Ufta" frequently translates to "I am overwhelmed," somewhat similar to the Yiddish phrase "Oy vey." Did not know that. Am I pronouncing it right? Ufta? Ufta? I like that. I like that a lot. Ufta. Is it like that? Does it sound kinda like that? Oh, the 8-hour stream is gone. So I'll have to take your word for it about how meals and bathroom breaks were handled. Somewhere, Mist has the paperwork where my great-grandfather came over from Norway in 190 something. Wow! That's amazing. And you wear a Mjolnir? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Mjolnir? On the necklace, yeah. Hi, Sandy Wandy, it's so good to see you. How are you feeling? I know you were feeling kinda under the weather. I hope you're starting to be on the mend a bit. Mist prefers Bluey over Peppa. We were getting so I love Peppa, don't get me wrong, but there's only so many episodes, and it was getting redundant. So we were trying to branch out and do something different just for our own sanity, and we did try to put on Bluey, but he didn't I don't know, he didn't key into it. But that could have been because we were traveling, we were out of town in a hotel room, and, my kid doesn't handle hotel rooms very well, or hotels in general. I think 'cause he can hear all the people in the hallways, and he can't block out sound the way a lot of people can, so he just, like, is wired the whole first night in any hotel and nobody's sleeping. And, yeah, we tried melatonin. I think we got him a little pop-up tent to give him a little bit more quiet. It's a Thor's hammer. Is that what you call it in Norse? A Mjolnir? Miss can let us know. Miss says, "I'm growing up. I had a close connection to Native Americans and ancient Egyptians." That's really cool. I saw twice in '79 and then in 2000. I'm 25% Native American and 3% Sub-Saharan African. That's really cool. That's neat. I think it's cool to be able to know, like, what your heritage is and where your people came from, and, like, that's neat. That's neat to have that connection. My grandmother on my dad's side made a point of, like, mapping their whole family tree as far back as she could. I'll have to get a copy from them so I don't lose that. She researched a lot to do that. Let's see. You saw Tut in '79 and 2000. Wow. I must have missed something. I don't know if I can be him. I'm not sure. I must have missed something. Please correct me if I missed something. I'm sick of Super Kitty. Is that another show? So, historically, like, since we've had my child, I told you guys my husband is a high school teacher. So during the summers, he's typically off, but I'm not because I have a corporate job. I work year round. So in the summers, he would be in charge of our son during the day while I was working, and he said that he had like all the Peppa Pig episodes memorized. They were driving him bananas. I know them pretty well, but not like that. Oh, Janet G says we recently had our DNA done, and it turns out that our 100% Norwegian roots contain a lot of Sami genetics. That's really cool. Mary, you are absolutely right. We should look for Airbnbs instead of hotel. That is precisely what we are doing next time we go out of town to visit family, because I think it has to do with, like, the multiple floors and the, like, wall sharing. Like, if he has his own, and even just being in the same room with us, he won't fall asleep if we're still in the room. It's like the fact that we're still up and, like, there, he's like, "Oh, mommy and daddy still here. It's playtime. It's time to jump around." Um, like, he almost has to have, like, his own little separate place to go if he's gonna wind down. Um, and that's why we got the little tent last time we were in Massachusetts visiting family up there. But so usually, like, when we've gone to Massachusetts in the past, the family lives, like, on the Massachusetts-New Hampshire border. Like, we hop back and forth. Some of them live in the New Hampshire side, some of them live in the Massachusetts side. So we usually stay somewhere close to both, and we hop back and forth. And what we always tried to do is the first few days, we would stay in, a ski resort in the White Mountains in New Hampshire, um, usually Waterville Valley. And ski resorts up there in the summer are beautiful because, like, so I live in Texas and summers here are, like, hot as heck, and I'm used to it, but summer up there is basically like spring. Like, it's just beautiful and everything's green and it's not dusty, and, like, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So we would usually stay there for the first half, and then the second half we'd go stay somewhere closer to the city where the rest of the family lives. But my kid sleeps great in the mountains. Like, even if we had to share a room, he would fall asleep much quicker up there in the mountains. But once we get, like, in a more populated city in that kind of hotel, he's wired. Like, I don't know. He's maybe not designed to be a city kid, I guess. That's okay. That's okay. Or maybe he is and he likes it. I don't know. Miss Dragon says my first love and I are both Norwegian, so his ashes are going in there. I love that. That makes sense. Yeah, that's good. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Miss. I know that's been difficult. I know that's been really heartbreaking. Oh, William Good Streets in LA is half Norwegian. You know, guys, I haven't been keeping up with as much SPD. Bleh, bleh, must be getting late because I'm stumbling over my words. I haven't been keeping up with as much SPTV stuff as I was recently. Mostly because a lot of people I know personally, like you guys, are starting YouTube channels, and, like, all my YouTube watch time is going there. No offense to any of the SPTV channels, like, they're great. I still like them. I still catch them when I can, but I have finite watching of YouTube time, and I just like to give it to you guys. No offense to anyone else, though. And the protest stuff is kinda, I don't know. It's not even if I have to have YouTube on the background, it's not something, I don't know, like, it amps me up. Like, so it's not something, if I'm gonna have something on in the background, I'd much rather have it be people having a conversation or music, you know? So, I haven't been keeping up with that as much. Miss Dragon says, "My grandmother's mother is 99% UK." Wow. And hubby is about the same. It really confused my son when my granddaughter came out with blonde hair, blue eyes, and my dark skin, Native American. That's a really cool combination, though. I love that. That's unique. That's really cool. Well, I'm gonna sip some tea here. So it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning where I am. And here is a book that I have owned for years and I have not yet read. Good Night, The Sleep Doctor's 4-week program and to better sleep and better health. I probably should read it. I actually got it before I had my child, and then when he was a newborn, I was like, I'm not reading this. I'm not going to be able to do any of this. So, but maybe I should crack it back open. Maybe I should. But I have too much to do, guys. Like, I have too much I want to do to sleep more than 6 hours a night. There's too much life to live, you know? But sleep is important. Sleep is when your brain removes cellular waste. So it keeps you smart, keeps your brain working well. Miss Dragon says, I have an idea why he sleeps better in the mountains because there's less electronic radiation bombarding him up there. You are probably absolutely right. I think you are right, Mist. That's a really good point. There's not a bunch of Wi Fi and limited cell phone signals. I think you're absolutely right. Um, I think most of you know he has moderate autism, and a hallmark of that for a lot of people is like you can't filter stuff out, like you can't ignore stuff that other people can. Like you are more sensory aware, I guess. So like humming noises, like the refrigerator's humming, the air conditioner's humming, he probably doesn't block that stuff out as well. It probably bothers him more on some level. You know what's funny is we actually did a telehealth interview about him once while we were up there in the White Mountains. Like we were going through this whole evaluation process with him that included like 4 different appointments. And one of the appointments was via telehealth. And we realized, oh, this is scheduled for when we're up there in New Hampshire. Well, we might as well still do it because like it's telehealth. We may as well. We'll just, sit in the hotel room and, talk to them because it was an interview with us. So he was over, on the other side of the room playing with something. He would pop his head in every now and then, like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, you're holding still. That's lame. I'm gonna go over here." Because he's not a still human. He does not like to be still. He is now because he's asleep, but he's go, 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 go. Like he passes out playing with stuff. Like he's not a kid that you tuck in a bed and he goes to sleep. He passes out playing. Miss Dragons says, yeah, yeah. Janet G says genetics are cool. They are. They're very interesting. Um, there was no way my kid was ever gonna come out with anything. Well, I mean, I guess maybe he could have come out with red hair. No, probably not. Because both his dad and I have the blonde hair and the blue eyes, and we're very fair complected. So there was, so he is really fair and he has really blonde hair, like extra, extra much. My adoption paper said I was Mexican in German. I'm neither one of those. That'll be my, last silly thing to wrap up with before I hop off and let everybody go to bed or go see Chow Yun Smut or whatever you like to do on this beautiful Friday eve, as I like to call it. Um, so I mentioned earlier that my dad was an Air Force brat. My grandfather was in the Air Force, and they moved about every 2 years. He was born on an Air Force base in Portugal. Later, as I think as an adult, when he was getting his passport, he whoever was working at the passport place incorrectly abbreviated Portugal. And so instead of Portugal, his passport said Puerto Rico. My dad, that's like probably one of the few genetics in the few places that he's never lived. He doesn't speak a word of Spanish, not a word, maybe hola, maybe he can remember hola. Um, but it's funny because that's what his passport says, and I think but it's such a hassle to get that stuff fixed. He just didn't get it fixed for the longest time. Don't tell anyone, though. Y'all don't know his name, it's fine. But it was because somebody misabbreviated it, and it's so ridiculously stupid, and there's so much bureaucracy around correcting that. It he couldn't get it done. But I think one time, like, somebody at a gate at an airport was like, "Oh, are you from Puerto Rico? I'm from Puerto Rico." And he's like, "Oh, I didn't live there very long, my dad was in the Air Force. I don't speak any Spanish." Like, he just kinda played it off. But we like to joke about my dad being from Puerto Rico when he's not really. "You sent DNA to Ancestry but didn't get it back. They stole your DNA. How dare they?" How long was it? Like, is this fairly recently? I think you should I think it might be a good idea to call them or contact their customer service. I would at least want, because those kits cost money, so I would at least want a refund on my kit if they never gave me back the information. I think one of the funniest things was that, so I did the 23andMe, and I did that one because it had options where you could see, like, health genetic markers, like if you're a fast metabolizer of caffeine or if you're more likely to have this certain thing or that certain thing. I'll have to look it up and share it one day. Um, One of the things that I thought was funny is that supposedly, like, I share a genetic marker with people who are athletes. Like, it used the term elite athletes. So I was like, well, that I am not. I am not an elite athlete, but apparently I share a genetic marker with people that are. So if I bothered to work out a whole lot, maybe I could do well. I don't know. But yeah, they should at least give you a refund. That's lame. That sucks. Last year? Oh my gosh, did you try to reach out to them? Did you try to ask them for the refund or anything? You carry the maternal haplogroup of most Native Americans, and evidently I'm a descendant of a 9,000-year-old Anasazi woman. So cool. That's so cool that you know that too. That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, you should get a refund, Sandy Wandy. Yep, yep. If nothing else, I would want my spit back because that sounds weird. Because you have to spit into this tube. And when I first bought the kit, I thought, "Oh, you just, like, spit a couple times." Like, no, you have to fill this test tube with saliva. Like, it actually takes a while. That might ex Miss Dragon says, "That might explain where my youngest is Rh negative." Oh, okay. Hubby and oldest are Rh positive. My blood type is B positive. Youngest is B negative. Oh, so did you have to do the thing where, like, I've known somebody that had, like, the different Rh factor during pregnancy, and they had to take, like, certain shots or medications so their body would not reject their infant and make them really sick. Um, I don't think it's pushy, just assertive. Like, you don't have to be pushy to be assertive, right? Like, I mean, says me, I'm still learning about that. I'm still learning how to be better at being assertive because I was a people pleaser. That was my thing. Well, guys, oh, I I can't stop talking with you. Okay, you didn't have to do the genetic the shots, but you know what I'm talking about? That would have to be Rh negative. Gotcha, gotcha. Cool. Well, happy Friday Eve, everyone. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me. Thanks for hanging out with each other. Um, I love hanging out with y'all. Y'all are a blast. Y'all are so much fun. Um, I would have just as much fun if it were just like one other person or two other people. This is great. This is so cool. Thank you for being here. And if you're a person who comes back and watches it on replay later, thank you for being here after the fact. Cherokee Indian chief that signed a treaty that caused a trail of tears. Oh, wow. To be fair, I'm sure it was misrepresented to him. I'm sure it was misrepresented. Thank you, Janet. All right, guys. Have a wonderful night. Um, I'll see you over in Chow Yun Smuts. If I don't see you there, then I'll see you on the YouTubes tomorrow, mañana. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being here. Bye.